Right, so please take a few minutes to settle in and just drop inwards. Feel your body resting into the ground. And just notice the weight of your head. Feel the shape and the weight of the skull settling. Maybe even it feels like it's falling a little bit. And notice the breath moving your body. As your skull is resting, perhaps your face responds by softening. And draw your attention down to your upper back. And feel the sense of the upper back resting, making a gentle impression in the floor. It may be helpful to feel the weight of your arms as well. And just continue to feel that you're breathing. Notice how well you're breathing. Feel the weight of the back of the pelvis, grounding, falling, resting. Often when we feel the pelvis settling, the breath becomes very apparent in the belly, the breath movement. Just see if that's true for you at this time. And let your attention wander all the way down through the legs to the heels. Feel the shape of your heel, the weight of your heel. Perhaps the two heels are resting slightly differently on the floor. And then maybe just for a moment or two, see if it's possible to feel all four of these areas at once. The round, heavy skull, the restful, broader upper back, the pelvis, central to the body, and the heels, maybe slightly different from one another in your experience. Feel the anchoring and restful quality in each of these areas. And feel the gentle, easy breath moving your body. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be silent for a few minutes. If you would like your shavasana to continue beyond 3 or 4 minutes, then please hit the pause button. And when you feel like moving and begin to move, then touch play again. And take a few more breaths, and then begin to move in any way initially that your body is calling for. And as you start to move in your own way, maybe just notice how the back of the pelvis or the whole pelvis feels in relationship to the ground. Include in your practice at this point a little boat, which everyone is naturally doing. It's such a wonderful posture. Rocking back and forth just a bit. Feeling the weight shifting on the back of the pelvis. And perhaps circling as well. Right. Just notice the experience of shifting weight side to side, round and round, as a way of easing tension, certainly in the lower back, but also into the hip sockets. You may even feel a movement, into the upper back, even into the skull. Yeah, let your ankles be soft, let your feet be soft. Right? This is a moment in practice for release and easing. And at some point, simply lengthen your legs back out into shavasana. Long, heavy, supported by the ground. Yeah, and your arms overhead. Yeah, and really think to yourself, I'm back in shavasana here. My body is settling in this long shape. I feel the ground with my body. And just take a few breaths. And then when you feel the desire, draw your legs back to little boat. Yeah, it can be useful to draw one leg in and then the other, just to maintain this sense of release in the body. Yeah, one leg in, the other leg in, both are tucked into shavasana, both are tucked into little boat. Yeah, and you can vary the shape of your little boat. Right? So wide-kneed little boat, cross-legged little boat, ankles or knees crossed. And it can be really lovely to continue to notice the feeling of the back of the pelvis as it relates to the ground as you settle, as you shift from side to side, as you circle. Yeah. Each time you change your legs in little boat, the portion of the pelvis that is in contact with the ground can change a little bit. Noticing that helps us as we rest and ground and rock and circle. And of course, the feeling in your hip sockets will change. The benefit will change as you shift from parallel to wide to cross legs in little boat. When you feel the impulse to lengthen out again, please do that. And initially, when you lengthen out, take even just a single breath with that intention for the body to be in relaxation, the body to be in shavasana. So you have that option. You always have that option. And then you can begin to move in this position, lengthening a leg or an arm, sliding, the sense of sliding along the floor. Right? So the limb is active and lengthening, and yet is still deeply supported. You can combine two limbs. Yeah. Lengthen an arm and a leg, lengthen both arms. Lengthen all your limbs. Yeah, just feel the movement and the response throughout the rest of your body as you simply intend to lengthen limbs. Yeah, and then when you're ready, just draw your legs back to little boat and engage with whichever of the little boat variations seem appropriate for you right now. Parallel legs, wide legs, cross legs. And just settling and breathing, moving. Yeah, yawning. Yawning's great. Yawning's helpful. Okay. Might be nice to add in a little boat twist as an additional little boat variation. So in your own timing, just let the arms come wide at shoulder level, or approximately that level, so the arms can settle. There's no effort in the arms or hands. And that's it. Drop your legs to one side. Right, so the intention, of course, in little boat twist is to allow the body to settle in this shape. Right, so that means my legs are resting, my pelvis is resting. Yeah, switch sides as you like. Can be really helpful as you go from side to side to use the top leg to lead you. So the exchange from side to side is very, very effortless, or as effortless as possible. My top leg leads me to the other side. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just for interest, there's nothing wrong with going from side to side with both legs. It can be quite beautifully strengthening for the abdomen, but maybe just compare what it feels like to just take one leg. Yeah, and just notice the ease. You can make a choice. Yeah, we want the lower back or the back of the pelvis to feel like it can settle into the ground completely, totally, throughout the exchange from side to side. Okay. Right. So the legs rest, the pelvis rests. You can continue your awareness up through the body, the upper back, the head. Right. All of those areas we were essentially focused on during shavasana. And if you like to rest in your twist, take a few breaths. Notice where the breath is moving the body as you're resting in this asymmetrical shape. Yeah. And the body falls, and the body breathes, and the body rests. Okay, so maybe go back and forth a few more times. If you feel like lengthening out your legs while you're in little boat, that's always a lovely option. Yeah, that's it. Fabulous. Yeah, but even with the legs long, they're settled all the way through the ankles and feet. And it's always really lovely to notice as you change your legs in a twist, how it affects the upper body. Okay. All right. So maybe even yourself off. And when you feel satisfied, you feel like you've completed the twisting that you want for now, bring yourself back into the middle and let your knees be bent and the soles of your feet on the mat. All right, so we'll do a little bit of bridge pose. Your arms can be down by your sides. They can be overhead. You can have the arms wide as you had them in the twist. And please just remember to start your bridge pose by pressing your feet into the ground to allow your pelvis to roll. Right? It's as if the feet pressing into the ground is the active intention, And the pelvis rolls in response. That's it. And you can, roll a little bit or roll all the way up into what feels like your full bridge pose, and then roll all the way down. Yeah. So ground the feet and roll through the back torso. Take a few breaths in your bridge pose. It can be very nice to just rest while you're essentially up in bridge pose, and then roll back down. Yeah, bridge pose is a massage for the back of the torso. Yeah. It's a way of shifting weight through the torso, up, 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 and down again. Right? You're using your body, the weight of your body, the movement of your body to release any stiffness, tension. And the partner poses with bridge pose, any of the little boat variations that you were engaged with earlier, or lengthening your legs up towards the ceiling, maybe even shaking them a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So relaxation of the body and breathing are means by which we release tension. Shaking is another way to release tension. Physical, emotional, psychological tension. Yeah, you could add your arms into the shaking. Yeah, it's fun. It's great. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're shaking your limbs, that includes your elbows and knees, your ankles, your feet, your hands. Yeah. Yeah. So what I'd suggest is just shake, and then, when you want to, put your feet back down on the ground. Take a few breaths. Yeah, plop your feet on the ground. That's always great. Yeah. Right. And then, feel your breathing, and maybe do one more bridge pose as you're ready. Yeah, changing your arms, sure, overhead if you haven't tried overhead. Great. And so when you come out of this bridge pose, maybe choose any of the postures we've done so far as your partner or counter pose. Little boat twist, little boat twist with long legs, legs in the air, shaking or just moving about. And when you take a pause, just ask yourself, am I letting the weight of my body really drop into the floor? Right? Am I releasing the tension I do not need right now? Am I feeling my breathing if I'm resting for a little bit in a posture? Let's do one more posture, and you can just listen to the instructions, and if there's something else you want to do prior, why don't we specifically release the legs for just a moment before coming to cat pose. So what I'd suggest is lengthening one leg on the ground and drawing the other knee towards you. So you have a leg that's in little boat and a leg that's in shavasana. Yeah. And the leg that you're holding, you can hold on top of the shin or behind the knee. Right? And that leg can be just quiet. It can just be restful in this shape. Feel the entire body settling all the way down to the heel of the long leg. Right? You can also move the leg that you're holding. You can circle that leg. Circles can be small or large. Right? And just try out circling for a little bit in one direction and then the other. You can also take the leg wide to its own side and then drop it back across towards the midline or across the midline. Yeah, you can swap hands as you do that. Yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, every once in a while, pause. Feel the body settling, feel the breathing. Yeah. Before you switch sides, whenever that is, perhaps draw your legs into a little boat. And just so the legs can be the same, the lower back can really lengthen, the same on both sides. And then switch sides, lengthen out the other leg. So I have that moment where I sense the shape of my body, the weight of my body being accepted by the ground. Maybe I run my awareness all the way down to my heel. Is it resting? Yeah. And then I begin to move. I begin to massage deep inside my hip socket by circling, opening wide and crossing. And of course, all this movement of your leg is giving you the benefit of release across the back of the pelvis as it shifts and responds to the leg movement. That's a good idea. You could put your hand on the long leg to remind it to rest. Good. All right. And again, when you decide, or your body tells you that that is enough movement on this side, complete this posture by drawing your legs back to some version of little boat, or maybe letting the legs lengthen up towards the ceiling again. If you enjoyed shaking, shaking is always a beautiful option. So why don't you take a few more breaths and then roll over onto your side, and we'll do a bit of cat pose, maybe a little bit of downward facing dog. Okay. Okay. So what I suggest for cat pose is maybe shifting back and forth between what feels like child's pose for a moment. Really let your pelvis drop, right? And then shift back over your hands. Right. Maybe just back and forth a few times. Yeah. Right. And then begin to add in the cat pose undulation. Yeah, so spine rolling into flexion, swimming into the extension. Yeah, and really feel for your whole spine being involved, from head to tail. Yeah. Yeah. Notice your breathing. Often we have a natural breath pattern that comes up as we're doing continuous movement. That's cat pose, continuous, undulating flexion, extension of the spine. Yeah. Yeah, once in a while, maybe just take a few breaths in child's pose. Right? And just as a reminder, it can be quite nice to really notice the weight of the pelvis falling towards the ground, falling towards your heels, particularly during the exhalation. So I breathe in, and as I breathe out, I allow my pelvis to fall. And each time the pelvis falls, the lower spine releases longer. The lower back sheds tension. And then why don't we just remind ourselves of the entrance into the short stance down dog. So if you come back to your cat pose, right? So just hands resting, turn the toes under, and initially just shift your weight back over your heels, right? So this is how we started our cat pose. Maybe just feel your toes stretching. And shift back over your hands again. Just go back and forth a few times. Yeah. And so really benefit the toes and the bottom of the foot as you shift weight back. Okay. And then to continue into the down dog, shift your weight over your heels. Maybe wait for an exhalation, right? So just in your own breath rhythm. On an exhalation, just think of lengthening your legs into the down dog, right? And once you're there, you might, walk a little bit, bend one knee at a time. One reason we do this is to allow the long leg to release a little bit more fully. So one heel descends towards the ground, the other elevates away from the ground. And another really lovely option is to just take your legs a bit wider in down dog. Maybe experiment for a moment, take the legs wide enough so that you really feel that your heels are descending. Doesn't matter if they're not on the ground. Okay. And then what I'd suggest is when you're ready to come out of down dog, bring your legs to hip width again. Yeah, and then come back down to child's pose for a few breaths. Okay. Child's pose, maybe vary your arms in child's pose. The arms can be in front of you, long or bent. Yes, good option. Or your arms can be back by your sides. Yeah, just take a few breaths here, really, really let the pelvis settle on the out-breath. And then start to make your way to standing. You can come through downward facing dog again if you would like to try it again. You can come through the standing forward bend or just make your way to standing. We made it all the way to standing. Okay. Maybe just stand a little bit back on your mats because we'll be taking a step forward in a moment or two. Okay. All right. So why don't we just do a few postures for the upper body, just because you've been weight bearing. Interlace your fingers and just on your in-breath, let the arms come overhead. And then as you exhale, let the arms just float down. Like you're combing the air. I do that a few times in your own breath rhythm. I inhale and my arms come overhead. I exhale and I comb the air. Right. Let's just add in an awareness of the feet. So I inhale and bring my arms overhead. I exhale, I feel like I rest my feet. Why don't we add in a side bend this time? All right, so inhale overhead. Exhale, rest your feet and just bend sideways. Let the in-breath bring you back to the middle. Exhale, feet and sideways. Inhale back to the middle. And comb the air. Deeply sink your feet. Yeah, let's do that one more time together. Okay. Inhale. If you look up, you can sneak a little back bend in. Right. Then exhale to one side, feet settling. Inhale. Exhale, feet rest. Inhale back to the middle, and feet, hands rest down. Good. All right. And just take a moment and wiggle your arms a bit. Yeah, lift and drop your shoulders. Yeah. Yeah, maybe swing your arms from side to side. Yeah. Okay. Okay, why don't we do a few of the simple standing postures? Just look at your feet, make sure they're about hip width apart, and also that you feel that you're quite settled, comfortable. All right, then just take a natural step forward and bend your front knee. All right. If you feel wobbly at all, take the legs a little wider apart. Yeah, just check that. Do I feel stable? Right? One place to focus, if you want one thing to think about, is the back heel. Yeah, so I can do something like I breathe in, I breathe out, and I rest my back heel. Right? So this is the first warrior pose. My arms can remain down. I can bring my arms up as I did a moment ago. Inhale, bring my arms overhead. Maybe just rest your arms into the shoulder joints. Take a breath or two. Let the heels settle. Try letting the arms come down and take, just another breath. Let the heels settle one more time on the exhalation. All right. And then step your foot back so you're just standing simply in mountain pose. And then take a natural step forward with your other foot. Now, because we're not symmetrical, your stance may be a little shorter or a little longer on this side, a little wider, a little narrower. You want to make sure you really feel stable. Okay? Take an out breath and settle your heel. There you go. Good. And then migrate the arms overhead. And then let the weight of your arms rest into your shoulder joints. You don't need to hold the arms up. Take a few breaths in your own rhythm. Just feel the in-breath and the out-breath. The back heel rests deeply. And let the arms come down. Check that the back heel remains connected to the ground on your next out breath. And then legs side by side. All right, let's do a little bit of rolling forward and then a gentle standing back bend as a counter pose to this. Let your knees soften or bend. As I roll forward, my head will lead, my heavy head. I'm going to follow it. And I'm in flexion through my spine. I roll forward as far as I'm comfortable. Maybe take a breath or two. And when I'm ready to roll up, I sink my heels, I sink my feet, I roll up and my head is last. And then maybe a gentle standing back bend. Reach one arm at a time as you did when we were lying on the ground. Right? This just creates a moving, natural back bend. Great. So maybe in your own time, just roll down, rest, roll back up, back bend one more time. The knees soft encourages the lower back to release a little bit more fully. Good. The deep settling of the feet allows the rest of the body to feel supported and move more freely. Just enjoy the feeling of your whole body responding to your hand reaching towards the ceiling. Lengthen the arm, lengthen the spine, a little bit of weight shift. All right. When you finish your second standing back bend, just take a moment and take 2 or 3 breaths in mountain pose. A simple in-breath. Exhale, my pelvis rests into my legs into my feet into the ground. All right, let your eyes open. Let's do one more standing pose. We'll do the standing twist or the warrior 2. So again, as you did a moment ago, just gentle, natural step forward. Find your back heel. Find it through feeling it sink. Right? And then the twist comes from the ribs, the upper spine twisting. Your arms are speaking to that upper body, helping the upper body to find the twist on either side. Yeah. Yeah. Your elbows can be a bit soft. Yeah, so go back and forth a few times, side to side. And the same idea holds here. As I exhale, my back heel settles. That's my deep anchor. Yeah, front knee bent. Good. Right, and then you'll simply settle for a moment in the middle. And let the legs change places. Okay, other leg. Right? So it's important each time we come into this stance to just check, do I feel stable? Is my back heel truly resting? If I can't feel my back heel clearly, I might shorten my stance or widen my stance. Right? The weight of the body falling through that back heel is what's helping you feel it. Right? So just make sure from the inside you feel that heel, maybe on the out breath, and then try your twist on both sides. Yeah. It's interesting, right? Sometimes when you start to twist, you become a little unstable, so you just make a choice. Oh, I'm going to create a more stable base. That's all. All right. All right. When you feel like you're complete on this side, maybe come back to the middle one more time. Roll down, as we did, heavy head. Let the knees be soft. You can roll back up and do a standing back bend. Beautiful, good. Your heels are very operative in the standing back bend. They're resting, resting, resting. This is what allows the upper body to lengthen, the upper spine to lengthen. Okay. And then maybe to complete our standing portion of the practice, again, soft knees, and just let your arms slip from side to side, gentle twist. All right. When you're ready, come back down to the ground. Choose a position that you feel will be comfortable. If you're wrong, change your position, and we'll do a final shavasana. Okay? All right. So come back to basics. Feel the weight of the body deeply dropping into the floor. Over and over again with each exhalation. Take your time. Stay with your body. Stay with your breathing. Rest for as long as you would like.